My name's Mike Ivett, and I'm here with Tassos Stassopoulos to find out more about an important theme in emerging markets, that of women empowerment. So Tassos, tell me, how did you come to look at this theme for your portfolio?
We had a question in our head. If I said to people, Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, the thing that if I ask anybody to summarize it, they will say something like, leave no one behind. Okay, and then we start doing all this work on the ground and we go meet various women who are not empowered in these villages. And if I say to you, Mike, how do you think women get empowered? What's the first thing that jumps to your head?
I would say she needs a good education to start with, for example.
And that is the answer that pretty much everybody and we were giving. We thought education is the biggest driver. But if that's the case, what happens to all these women over the education age? Will they never get empowered? Are we going to write all this generation of women off? So we asked ourselves a very simple question. When does a woman get a say in the household finances? So we went through and looked at the notes, and the answer was surprising, but it's quite logical. You don't get a say unless you contribute to the household income. You work for your husband, you work all the hours at home, you work in the fields, you don't get a say. Once you bring money, the women get a say. Now, when we looked at the lives of women who didn't have a say, they were working even harder than the women who did. They worked 18 hours a day because they seemed to have hardly any support. They had to walk 5 miles down to the river every day to wash clothes. They come home, they don't have a fridge, they have to go to the market 3 times a day, prepare every meal just in time. And a change like electrification will empower these women. And that is a big driver that kicks off empowerment. You need things that will release the women and give them time. And what you will see is a natural process where women then start cottage industries. They will start businesses with the free time. Free time doesn't go to painting nails. It's the biggest fallacy. The women will want to upgrade the family lifestyle. They will look to generate more income for their kids. And the final thing, which is quite important, is when women get a say, the household decisions change. Men tend to make very short-term decisions. They want to take care of the family, they want to spoil the family, they want to take them at the weekend to the mall to have some ice cream. And I know I'm making it quite simplified, but when you speak to women, women think much more long-term. Education of the kids, insurance in markets, savings, investment products. While men tend to think in a much more short-term cycles.
So what does this look like on the ground? What examples have you found from your research?
We went to the house of a woman who was a Brahmin, which is a top caste, and she married somebody who was a dhobi. A dhobi means a washerman. He comes to your home and washes clothes. And they eloped. He had the support of his family, but of course her family was not supportive, so they immediately disowned her. And she set up business from home with his parents, and what he does is he drives on a motorcycle and picks up all the clothes, brings it home. She and his parents wash the clothes, they iron everything, fold everything, and he does the delivery. And effectively they have a laundromat based from home. That's a homepreneur business, which she runs with her husband. One of the things I loved when I met this woman is that even though they work all these hours, she had the skill which was to use string to make these fashion accessories. And she thought of, I can hire my mother-in-law to do this for me. Now, what these women were making by doing this, they were making somewhere between $80 and $150 a month, which is a lot of money. And therefore, you go and look at this woman, which is a great example of statistics, by the way. Her husband is a washerman, and when you read the statistics, that means he goes to people's homes and he washes it. But actually, she's employed and part owner of a laundromat at home, and every free hour she has, she employs another woman, and together they do these fashion accessories, which again doesn't get picked up in the national statistics. But what is an important for a part of the story for me is the concept of the women as upgraders. Because without her doing this extra business with her mother-in-law, she wouldn't be able to upgrade to a private school for her son, which is her objective, get him a proper education and pull my son back out of the social class that we are in and give him better opportunities for the future.
I imagine one of the biggest influence on change is going to be financial technology for these people. A mobile phone that can link to your banking, that's going to have an enormous change in emerging markets, surely.
Yes. I mean, it's fascinating, the mobile phone, because for many of these women, it becomes like their personal assistant, it becomes their salesperson, it becomes their banker. It does so many functions, and a lot of them tell us it's a window to the world, because Google gives them the knowledge for things they don't know. I'll tell you an interesting example. We were doing this study and we went into this neighborhood in a big city. Generally, when migrants move to the city, you lose all the support of the extended family. There is no grandparents to watch the kids. There's nobody to go to the market. So you have to stay at home, the wife, and cook, and you depend on the husband's income. Now, in this area, what we found was that 168 women had created a WhatsApp group, and they started offering through WhatsApp services to each other, like, I will go to the market for you for the equivalent of about 20 cents per person. I will bring you food, and this is the menu I'm cooking today. I will help your kids with homework. I will teach this lesson. I will teach calligraphy. I will teach this. I will do your stitching for you. So you go through all this list of services that they're each advertising to themselves, and what you realize is that through just a simple WhatsApp group, these women have just created a virtual extended family. So if you asked me before, can a woman in a city go and get a job? Of course, but she needs to be able to afford a maid who is going to do all the things in the house for her, and somebody who is going to spend the time with the kids. Now, for an affordable price, she can get a blue-collar job and outsource a lot of these jobs to various individuals. So if I step back and look at this technology today, it's having much more profound effects by the ability to make people connect.
Women talk to you about becoming empowered and using technology to start their own businesses. Can you outline how you think this trend is going to continue and how these women can keep growing their businesses?
There's many of these homepreneurs that we come across that they're continuously advertising the whole businesses out of Facebook, WhatsApp, WeChat. All these women are invisible to the financial community. As far as we're concerned, they're all unemployed. That's what the government statistics tell us. But actually, they're quite successful homepreneurs with their businesses. But while they're viewed as unemployed by the general statistics, they will be viewed as unemployed by the banks. There is no way they will get access to much needed credit to grow some of these businesses. And what fintech can do is actually provide these opportunities for these women to create a credit profile, because they can accept orders through the phones, get payments through the phone, make payments to their employees, and thus creating a credit profile, because you're just shifting them from a cash society to cashless with a transaction record, which allows them then to access credit at an affordable rate and grow the business. Remember earlier I was telling you the story of the woman who was doing the home stitching, and her in-laws took a loan and bought the sewing machines for her business. Well, why did they have to do it? If she's so good at her job, she should be able to do that, not depend on your in-laws who getting a mortgage on their house for you to build a business. She is a very successful entrepreneur, and fintech can bring all these women and financially include them, and this will allow them to grow much faster, these businesses, and that will accelerate the GDP of these countries much faster than we are expecting.
How do you decide which sectors of the market that is going to impact upon?
If you look at women empowerment, I would break that into 3 different phases. The first is what would release women from home. Second is what would help women get a job. And the third and final phase is how the consumption patterns of the house will change once she gets a say in the household finances. Now, if you start in the first phase, what do you need to release women from home? We talked about electrification And the first reaction of people is to basically say, okay, I will go and invest in the devices that these women will buy. Is it the washing machine? Is it the fridge? But for me, it's a bit of a story of digging for gold when instead you should be thinking about selling shovels. So we try to think of the second derivatives of this demand. Then we move to the second phase, which is what helps women get a job. And there is the investments you can make in microfinance, which allows them to start building these businesses. And there is vocational education, and investment in that is a very important sector for these women. And then finally, when women get a say and they have the extra income, they will buy insurance products, education products for the kids. They will look for investment as they're trying to make much more long-term decisions.
The process of talking to people, it must be quite cathartic to the people who you're actually having the conversation with, because you have to build up quite a close relationship, I'd assume.
We have a wrong impression of when you say I'm going to do a study, because we all get bombarded, answer these 2 questions and you get this article for free, and you know, when did you last go to the cinema, and it's pretty annoying. You really just do surveys and you don't even want to get through them. But an ethnographic study is completely different. If you think about how I described, when you go inside the room, you will be sitting with this individual and there will be the ethnographer who acts as the facilitator. You agreed from before what you want to get out of the meeting, but there is no questionnaire. It's just a discussion, and it can go anywhere. I have videos where people decide to sing for us. They want to show us their books, they show us their books. And almost, if you look at the rest of us who are sitting there, we blend into the background and we disappear for the person being interviewed. It's just a very intimate conversation. And some of them, they feel like they've never been asked these questions before, because the facilitators want to understand why. And it's almost cathartic for them to go through the process of processing it themselves and explaining it to somebody. And I can tell you, when it's quite uplifting for the individuals, these meetings, EMs are places of hope. Everybody's lives, when you speak to them, how were they versus 5 years ago, it's so much better. And they just project that forward. While in the developed world, we sometimes look at our lives and it's been a period of austerity. It's much harder, and we all hear scary-mongering stories. Will we be relevant? Will artificial intelligence take our jobs? But that's not the case in EM. In EM, at the moment, it's all about opportunity and seeing people get the opportunity that they feel that they deserved. A lot of these people, when they were born, they were told a lie. They were told that their destiny in life was predetermined by the social class and caste they were born into. And it's so uplifting to sit with somebody who tells you it's not true. And what brings me together is where I'm going with all these other people. We're on the same journey together. And that's truly inspiring when you see it.
Tassos, thank you so much for your insights.